Have you ever stood in the kitchen, reaching for a handful of nuts, maybe while watching the news, or waiting for dinner, and thought, well, at least this is a healthy snack? You've been told for years that nuts are good for your heart, your brain, your energy. And truthfully, many of them are. But what if I told you that not all nuts are created equal, especially for men over 60? Now think about this: you've been doing the right things. You're staying active. You're watching your sugar. You're trying to eat clean. But there might be one tiny thing, something you eat without even thinking, that's quietly working against you. Something small. Crunchy. Delicious. And it's sitting right there in your pantry bowl. You see, after 60, your body changes in ways that most doctors don't talk about unless you ask the right questions. Your heart becomes more sensitive. Your metabolism slows. Your blood pressure reacts faster. And your immune system? Well, it's not as forgiving as it once was. What once kept you energized and lean could now be messing with your cholesterol, triggering inflammation, or even harming your kidneys. And here's the twist: it's not just what you're eating, it's how your body responds to it now. That's why the nuts that were once fine in your 30s or 40s, might be quietly hurting you in your 60s and beyond. But here's the good news: just as some nuts can cause problems, there are other nuts. Nutrient-packed, age-friendly powerhouses, that can actually protect your heart, your brain, your joints, and even your memory. So in today's video, we're going to break it down simply. You'll discover 3 nuts you should never eat if you're over 60, and, more importantly, 3 nuts you must start eating instead to help you feel stronger, sharper, and more in control of your health. And trust me, the third one, it's one most men overlook, but it could change how you feel every single day. So stay with me. This isn't just about nuts, it's about your long-term health, your energy, and the years ahead of you. Comment, "I'm here," if you're ready to take charge of your health in your golden years. I want to hear from you. And if you care about staying sharp, active, and independent as you age, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. You're watching Senior Care HQ, where smart aging begins with smart choices. Let's dive in. The number 1 nut I want you to avoid and watch out for is cashews. Now, I want you to picture this: James, 64, recently retired, finally enjoying his slower-paced mornings and quiet evenings. Every Sunday, he'd settle into his favorite chair, crack open a cold drink, and reach for his go-to snack, salted cashews. He loved the crunch, the taste, the comfort of it all. And why not? They seemed healthy. Natural. Better than chips, right? But over time, James started feeling off. He was more tired than usual. His blood pressure, which had been stable for years, started creeping up. And he couldn't figure out why. It wasn't until his doctor took a closer look at his diet that the truth came out. Cashews, especially the salted ones, can be deceiving. They're marketed as healthy, and yes, they are natural, but that doesn't mean they're always safe for everyone, especially not for men over 60. You see, cashews are high in something called oxalates. Oxalates are compounds that, when they build up in your body, can contribute to kidney stone formation. And if you've ever had a kidney stone, or known someone who has, you know just how painful that can be. Add in sodium, which is sky-high in most salted cashew brands, and now you're talking about something that can raise your blood pressure, strain your kidneys, and trigger inflammation. For a younger person, that might not be a huge deal. But at our age, those little stressors add up faster than we think. And here's the real kicker: because cashews taste so good, they're easy to overeat. 1 handful turns into 2, then 3, and before you know it, you've taken in more sodium than your body can process in a day, all without touching a salt shaker. Now, the common misconception here is this: they're just nuts. How bad can they be? But remember, just because something's natural, doesn't mean it's harmless. At our age, we have to be more selective about what we put into our bodies. Every choice matters just a little more. So what can you do instead? If you love the texture of cashews, the soft crunch, the satisfying chew, there are better options. We'll talk about those shortly. But here's the bottom line: skip the salted cashews, especially if you've had issues with blood pressure or kidney health. And if you think cashews are sneaky, wait until you hear about this next nut. It's one of the most common snacks at parties, bars, even doctors' offices, but it's a quiet trigger for inflammation and long-term health issues. Let's talk about it. The second nut you should think twice about: peanuts. Now, this one might surprise you, because peanuts are everywhere. In trail mixes, protein bars, roasted in snack bowls at parties, and, of course, in the good old peanut butter jar on the kitchen shelf. For many of us, it's a comfort food we've loved since childhood. Take George, for example. He's 68, an ex-firefighter who still likes to keep active: long walks, light gardening, stretching in the mornings. But recently, George had been struggling. His joints ached more. His knees felt stiffer. He thought it was just age creeping in, until his doctor took a closer look at what he was eating. Turns out, George had been eating peanut butter daily, sometimes twice a day. A spoonful here, a sandwich there. It felt harmless. Familiar. But it was quietly feeding something deeper: chronic inflammation. Here's what most people don't realize: peanuts aren't technically nuts. They're legumes, like beans. And while that might sound like a small technicality, it makes a big difference inside your body. Peanuts are high in omega-6 fatty acids, which, when out of balance with omega-3s, can drive inflammation throughout the body. And inflammation is sneaky: it doesn't just cause aching joints. Over time, it contributes to heart disease, arthritis, and even cognitive decline. But there's more. Peanuts are prone to aflatoxins, a type of mold that can grow during storage and processing. And for men over 60, whose immune systems may not be as quick to respond, aflatoxins are something to take seriously. They've been linked to liver issues and weakened cellular function. Not something you want quietly building up while you think you're making a healthy snack choice. Now, don't get me wrong, peanuts have protein. They're familiar. They're affordable. But that doesn't mean they're the right fit for your body at this stage in life. You might be thinking, but peanut butter is a staple. What do I even spread on toast now? And that's a fair question. But here's the good news: there are better, anti-inflammatory nut butters out there. Ones that don't feed inflammation. Ones we'll be talking about soon. So don't worry. You won't have to give up flavor or that creamy texture you love. Bottom line: if you're eating peanuts regularly, especially salted or processed kinds, it might be time for a swap. And if you thought peanuts were misleading, the next one takes it a step further. It's got a reputation for being healthy, even fancy. But hidden behind that label is something that could be spiking your blood sugar and slowly working against your heart health. Let's take a closer look. Now, let's talk about the third nut that often pretends to be healthy but can quietly throw your body off balance: flavored almonds. You've probably seen them. Those glossy little packets of honey-roasted, barbecue, or cinnamon-dusted almonds lining the shelves of every store, from gas stations to health food aisles. They look harmless. They say they're almonds. And almonds are good for you, right? Well, Richard thought so too. Richard, 66, recently started taking better care of his health. Cut back on red meat, started walking every morning, even swapped his chips for a snack he thought was smarter: honey-roasted almonds. Seemed like a good call. Crunchy, satisfying, and hey, it's almonds, not cookies. But after a few months, Richard's blood sugar started rising. His energy dropped in the afternoons. His doctor even mentioned the early signs of insulin resistance. Why? Because flavored almonds aren't just almonds. What the label doesn't shout, but what your body definitely notices. is that most flavored almonds are loaded with added sugars, syrups, processed oils, and chemical preservatives. Things like maltodextrin, corn syrup solids, and artificial flavors that your body simply doesn't handle the way it used to. See, when you hit 60 and beyond, your metabolism becomes more sensitive. Your pancreas doesn't pump out insulin the way it used to. And your heart? It's less tolerant of the hidden sugars and sodium packed into those guilt-free snack packs. And here's the real danger: it doesn't feel like junk food. It feels like you're doing something right. That's what makes it so misleading. One serving turns into 2, 3, and suddenly, you've spiked your blood sugar and loaded your system with inflammation-triggering additives, all while thinking you made a healthy choice. Now, are almonds bad? Not at all. Almonds themselves are one of the best nuts you can eat, high in vitamin E, magnesium, and healthy fats. But only when they're raw or dry roasted, with no added sugars, oils, or flavorings. So next time you see those tempting vanilla bean crunch almonds on the shelf, remember this: if it's coated, shiny, or comes in a flavor you can't find in nature, it's not doing your body any favors. Instead, choose simplicity. Choose the almond the way nature made it. So, we've covered the sneaky trio. Cashews with their oxalates and salt, peanuts with their inflammatory punch, and flavored almonds hiding sugar under a health halo. Now, what should you actually be eating? Let's shift gears. Let's talk about real health boosters, 3 powerhouse nuts that don't just taste good, but actively support your heart, your brain, and your body as you age. Get ready, because these next nuts can truly change the way you feel, starting with one that's known as the king of omega-3s. Let's start with a nut that doesn't just fuel your body, it supports your mind. I'm talking about walnuts. Now, Michael, he's 70, still sharp as a tack, but he started noticing something strange last year. He'd walk into a room and forget why he went in. Conversations would slip away just a little too fast. Nothing major, but enough to make him pause. So, he made a small change. He added a handful of walnuts to his breakfast every morning. Not a supplement. Not a pill. Just real food. Within a few weeks, something shifted. He was sleeping better. Waking up clearer. His mood even felt more stable. Here's why: walnuts are one of the richest natural sources of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA. Now, if that sounds technical, don't worry. Just know this: omega-3s are fuel for your brain and heart. They help reduce inflammation, lower bad cholesterol, improve blood flow, and even support memory and cognitive function. Things that every man over 60 should be prioritizing, no matter how healthy he feels. Walnuts also contain antioxidants that fight free radicals, those little troublemakers that age your cells faster than they should. So, when you eat walnuts, you're not just snacking, you're literally giving your body a toolkit to fight aging. Now, some people say, but aren't walnuts a bit bitter? Yes, if you eat too many at once, or if you're not used to them. But that bitterness? That's actually where some of the polyphenol and protective compounds live. It's nature's way of packing in the power. If you're just starting out, here's a simple trick: chop a few up and sprinkle them into your oatmeal, your yogurt, or even a salad. The flavor blends in, the crunch is satisfying, and the benefits? Massive. And remember, it's not about eating a bag of them in one sitting. Just a small handful each day can make a real difference in how you feel and think. So if you want a nut that supports your memory, protects your heart, and gives your body a head start every morning, walnuts are the one to reach for. And if you're someone who craves that rich crunch, but also wants something that supports longevity, hormonal health, and cellular repair, you'll want to hear about the next one. It's not as common, but it might just be the most underrated nut for men over 60. Let's talk about it. Now, the next nut on the list is small, but mighty. In fact, this one is so powerful, you only need one a day to feel its full effect. Let me introduce you to the Brazil nut. Mark, 67, had been dealing with sluggish energy, mild weight gain, and a thyroid that just wasn't keeping up. His doctor told him his thyroid numbers were dipping, not enough for medication yet, but enough to keep an eye on. Mark started researching, looking for natural ways to support his body. That's when he came across Brazil nuts. He didn't change his entire diet. He didn't overhaul his whole lifestyle. He just started eating one Brazil nut every morning, right after breakfast. That was it. A few months later, his blood work showed a difference. His thyroid numbers had improved. He felt more alert. His energy bounced back. All from one nut a day. Here's why that worked. Brazil nuts are one of the richest sources of selenium on the planet. Selenium is a trace mineral your body absolutely needs, but only in small amounts. And for men over 60, it's especially important. Selenium helps your thyroid function properly, which means better energy, better metabolism, and better hormone regulation. It also boosts your antioxidant defenses, helping to fight off the cellular damage that builds up as we age. But, and this is a big but, you have to be careful. Because Brazil nuts are so rich in selenium, more isn't better. In fact, too many can lead to something called selenium toxicity, which can cause everything from nausea to hair loss to nerve problems. That's why this isn't a snack food, it's a daily supplement in nut form. So what's the right amount? 1 to 2 Brazil nuts a day. That's it. No more. No less. Think of them like nature's multivitamin, not a handful to munch on absent-mindedly, but a targeted, intentional choice. Keep a small container of them in your pantry, and just pop one into your breakfast routine. That tiny action can support your thyroid, strengthen your immune system, and improve your overall energy in a way few foods can. And now, we've reached the final nut on our list. This one's not only good for your heart and your digestion, it's also a fantastic option if you love to snack. It's light, satisfying, and won't break your calorie bank. Let's talk about the most versatile, feel-good nut that belongs in your kitchen starting today. Now let's wrap up our list with a nut that often gets overlooked, pistachios. Larry, 72, had been trying to manage his weight and cholesterol. His doctor told him he needed to cut back on snacks, and that hit hard. Larry loved his evening crunch, something to munch on during the news or while chatting with his grandkids on the phone. He didn't want to give up snacking altogether. So he made a smart shift. He started reaching for pistachios instead of chips or flavored nuts. And it made a world of difference. Not only did it curb his cravings, but a few months later, his cholesterol levels had improved. His doctor was impressed. And Larry? He didn't feel like he was sacrificing a thing. So why do pistachios work so well, especially for men over 60? Let's break it down. Pistachios are rich in fiber, which supports healthy digestion, something that often slows down with age. They're packed with healthy fats, the kind that actually help protect your heart, not hurt it. And they contain plant sterols, natural compounds that help lower LDL cholesterol, that's the bad kind. But here's where people get confused. They'll say, aren't pistachios high in calories? Actually, no. When compared ounce for ounce, pistachios are one of the lowest calorie nuts you can eat. Plus, they're high in protein, which helps you feel full longer. That means you'll be less likely to overeat, and more likely to stay energized and satisfied between meals. And here's a practical tip that makes them even better: buy them in the shell. Why? Because shelling them as you eat naturally slows you down, helps you stay mindful, and prevents you from mindlessly eating a whole bowl in 5 minutes. It's a built-in portion control trick, and it works. So whether you're looking to keep your heart strong, manage your weight, or simply enjoy a crunchy, satisfying snack without the guilt, pistachios deserve a place in your pantry. They're light, versatile, and supportive of nearly every system your body relies on after 60. Now that you know what to avoid, and what to embrace, let's talk about why this shift actually matters more than most people realize. Because these changes, they go far beyond snacking. Let's take a moment to connect the dots. It's strange, isn't it? How something so small, so ordinary, like the kind of nut we snack on, could carry so much weight. But the truth is, it does. And I know, it's not easy. It can be hard to accept that the foods we've trusted for years, the snacks we've shared with friends, enjoyed during ball games, or reached for during quiet moments, might now be quietly working against us. We've built habits over decades. Tastes. Traditions. Comforts. So when someone tells you that cashews might be hurting your kidneys, or peanuts might be triggering inflammation, or that the sweet almonds you enjoy could be spiking your blood sugar, it can feel overwhelming. Even unfair. But here's the thing. This isn't about guilt. It's not about giving up every food you love. It's about something deeper. It's about choice. Control. Care. Because the choices you make today, no matter how small, shape the life you live tomorrow. And making those choices now, that's not giving something up. That's an act of love. A quiet, powerful act of care for your future self. For your children. Your grandchildren. For the years you still have, years you want to live with strength, with clarity, with independence. So here's what I want you to do, today. Not next week. Not someday. Today. Take 5 minutes. Go to your pantry. Pull out the nuts you have on hand. Look at the labels. Check the sodium. The sugars. The oils. And then make one small shift. Just one. Swap out one of the bad guys, those salted cashews, those sugary almonds, the processed peanut butter. And replace it with something better, a handful of walnuts, a single Brazil nut, a small bowl of pistachios in the shell. Because small, consistent changes, they add up. They protect your joints. They stabilize your blood sugar. They keep your brain sharper and your heart stronger. And most importantly, they help you stay you, longer. No one expects you to be perfect. That's not the goal. But awareness is power. And you're worth every mindful choice you make. So don't think of this as a diet change. Think of it as a commitment. To living smarter. To aging with purpose. To being there, fully present, for the people you love. You deserve that. And they do, too. Let's keep going. Let's take a moment to pull it all together. To recap, here's what we covered today. Cashews, especially the salted kind, may seem harmless, but they're loaded with oxalates and sodium that can put stress on your kidneys and raise your blood pressure. Peanuts, while popular, aren't true nuts, and they're often linked to inflammation because of mold toxins and too much omega-6. Flavored almonds. They might sound healthy, but those coatings of sugar and preservatives are no friend to your heart or blood sugar. So what do you do instead? Walnuts, a powerhouse for your brain and your heart. Brazil nuts, tiny, potent allies for your thyroid and antioxidant levels. And pistachios, crunchy, satisfying, and full of fiber and healthy fats that keep you feeling full and fueled. Simple swaps, with powerful results. It doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be intentional. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these nuts surprised you the most? Was there one you thought was healthy, but now you're second-guessing? Or maybe you've already made some changes and noticed a difference, more energy, better digestion, fewer aches and pains. Share it in the comments. Not just for me, for everyone watching. Your story could be the nudge someone else needs to take their first step. And if this video made you pause and think, if it gave you one new idea or insight, give it a like. And consider subscribing to Senior Care HQ, where every video is designed to help you live better, longer, and stronger. Without the fluff, and always with care. Because here's the truth, you're not just sitting here watching another health video. You're investing in your future. In your energy. In your independence. In your ability to show up for the people you love. And that matters. So thank you for showing up today, for you. Stay strong. Stay curious. And I'll see you in the next one.